Huh. So, yeah, Mike seemed to have cut out. And I don't even know if it was actually because it started streaming. Damn. Oh well. I could just talk about some of it. We were starting learning about how Gavin Rubin stuff. Well, I was also practicing my accents and stuff because there was a lot of quotes, especially from Gavin, talking about how in the late 80s to early 90s, they started making a few more games, even when it came to out of college and trying to figure out their work plans and starting a company where I pointed out that also bear with me, that's also a joke I said before in the past. So okay, there it is. By Naughty Dog Software pointed this out that it was Hmm. Besides that, it also shows how evolving from PC to later consoles and then to exclusively form consoles and publishers showcase how they're evolving and adapting. Showcases the progress. And, there's some direct quotes, which they will talk about later. On After all, it looks like it's good to read the headlines, and it's good that I have it displayed here, so. A bunch of things happen on Rings of Power, and it happened on Keith the Thief that we really sort of resented. Gavin admitted, we resent this process that EA had where you had to write the script and get it approved and basically design your whole game up front. We spent like a year on Rings of Power or months of something with this gigantic 300-page script, dickering over details in it and getting it approved, and then in the end we actually made the game. No one looked at the script. End quote. Designing on the fly was the appropriate way to make games, Rubin insisted, though Gavin also noted the marketing was another major problem that made them want to flee from a publisher in Rings of Power. There was high tech and guns together. EA marketing was like, I don't know if we want to market to both of those. That cadence. We've never seen that before. They should make it all one or the other. Mortal Kombat was a major inspiration for The Way of the Warrior. And that was my regular accent. So, trying to maintain another accent, I have to have a distinction between when transitioning. So I should use a soft tone once I transition with that accent, which can be a little bit. Bear in mind. Mortal Kombat. The truth is, Gavin said, as we knew, the same guys like fantasy and science fiction. EA wasn't interested in reading a 300-page script and game design documents, and frankly, Gavin and Rubin were far more interested in creating as they went than explaining their ideas up front. With The Way of the Warrior, their 3DO game, they flew by the seat of their pants. Nobody's going to tell us why our broad call is wrong, Gavin later said about Way of the Warrior, because there was no publisher constantly looking over their shoulders. Self-funding also allowed them to be smarter with their money and time and go where the gamers and the money were. We're going to look at, before starting the game, what's hot now and what's a good banger for the buck development wise, and trying to make the best game in that. To do a little more marketing time, our previous games, there was no market timing to them. They were just what Andy wanted to play or what I wanted to play. Ruben added. Naughty Dog's previous games were just what Andy wanted to play, or what I wanted to play. Alrighty. When Way of the Warriors development began in 1993, fighting games were really hot. Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, and Samurai Showdown were tearing up the arcade and the living room alike. Way of the Warrior was going to be 3DO's fighting game, and it was to go up against the best mid-wave Capcom and SNK had to offer. So it's interesting how having this bottle here is not really reacting to anything. Well, not really much, except being in a certain angle. Yeah. And I guess it's just because I'm here in this distance. So they felt it was a fairly easy genre to create a game in. It wouldn't take us the 3 years the past games had taken us, Ruben said. RPGs are just bigger and take a lot more time and effort. Fighting games, on the other hand, were very direct. You have your characters and you have your stages, and once the game is running, which didn't take much to do, all of the fine-tuning great fighting games required could be accomplished. Ooh. Alright, I think that's enough of an accent, because me addressing way out loud like a whale to talking with these cheeks like a chipmunk is stressing on my face. It shows that I am actually putting out a lot of effort, but a person has to rest. Ah, shoot. I clicked the base. Let me go back to where... Oh, cool. Just went back to where I was positioned. Oh. All the development resources were put into 2 characters on screen. They're big. And they got a lot of animation and a lot of moves relative to other games at the time, which had a different balance resource-wise. Gavin explained. So we looked at this and we're like, that's a good bang for the buck. You make 1 background and 1 character. You play against yourself and you got a playable game. You could start working out balance issues and play issues and stuff. Prestigious University MIT was the backdrop to Way of the Warriors development. MIT. Ruben and Gavin decided to take a digitalized direction. With Way of the Warrior, much like Mortal Kombat, and sometimes it's kind of slightly more comedic Mortal Kombat ripoff, it's very over the top, Gavin said. Their major inspiration was the droves of Hong Kong Kung Fu movies they watched together. Kung Fu movies. Woo! Oh. To make the game, they knew they had to be in the same location again, especially with enjoying all those Kung Fu movies from. And Jackie Chan was in a lot of Kung Fu movies for so many decades. They're literally bonding over Jackie Chan, especially when he does his full martial arts of the fool, where he's just pretty much in predictable situations, goofily use martial arts to get away. Spectacularly. Failing spectacular. To make the game, they knew they had to be in the same location again. Ruben tried to get Gavin to move to Newport Beach, California, but Gavin was still attending Amatuer, and he convinced Ruben to come to the wintering suburbs of Boston. Gavin acquired a subpar apartment for them to live in as they worked, and they went about the business of creating a 3DO game. For the first time, they bought on contractors to help them complete the game. But enough time. Contractors? No, I don't have enough time. So, this is where I left off. Well, you can at least get the gist of what I said through here. But anyway, It's all about the atmosphere. It's all about whoever comes in and just relax and likes the energy of what's just being broadcast. That's what I like. Other than that, aloha. And aloha again.